think I could say that actually the panel, the four of us, at least we have gone through one title from the beginning, from the design, programming, and launching the game on whether it's a digital platform, different platforms. So we could talk about our experience, and that's something possibly it's more inspire actually more people to whatever our journey went through. So probably it's going to be more about the personal stories. I don't want to. It's not. It's a beginning of Indies. I wouldn't call it rise, but I think it's just our stories, our journey. So I'll start with myself, the introduction. I'm Vinny Reddy, CEO of Blue Giant Interactive. We started our journey initially in 2007 as a motion capture studio. We kind of accidentally came into game development in 2009 due to a common friend. And for now, we have released two titles on Steam. One is Apox, other actually is Trist, which was released on Steam on September 14th. Okay, I'll talk once the rest of the panel actually gave the introduction and then what they have done. So then we will go talk about actually our journey and then the first game and the next game actually how we made it. Okay, then I'll pass on to Shailesh.
Hello. Okay. So I founded Yellow Monkey Studios about 5 years back. We started off working on a Nintendo DS point-and-click adventure, which never saw the light of day. Since then we moved on to iOS games and self-publishing our content. We've done 3 games. First one was called a Top View football game called Finger Footy. The next one was a more experimental, weird title called It's Just a Thought. And lately we've done our third title, which is called Hubrix. It's on iOS as well as Android. It was our first multi-platform kind of game. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hello. Yeah. So I'm Arvind and I work at Pyrodactyl. I founded the studio while I was in college, and we have made 2 role-playing games on the PC so far, and the third one is under development. So that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Kinshuk from Hashtash. We started in like June 2011, and we have a mobile game out there on the Android Play Store. It's called Zap the Night. It's a very primitive tapping fest. And other than that, we're like working on some tech for desktop, and we're like having a bit of fun and doing some indie stuff called like the BYOGs yesterday. So that's something I keep doing.
So probably, I think at least 3 of us actually worked for PC and released the games for PC, and you've done mostly for Android, right? So I think probably first, I think I would like to know, I mean, just to give an introduction of you actually, the personal backgrounds, I think where our study or family, because we want everybody here to know that actually it's inspiration to be in the, it's not easy always. You have an idea, you take that, and then they execute the game and then launch the game. So probably we'll start with, sure.
So basically my background and how I got into gaming and stuff. So I'll try to keep it very short. I was like in class 11th, and like this was 99, and I played this game called Caesar 3. And this was a very fun city building game, something that really got me hooked for hours. And I started asking myself things like, yo, this thing works a little weird. Like if I would have to make that mechanic, how would I make it? Which got me into like looking at other games and like playing more of them, mostly into simulation. Then I wanted to get my hands dirty, but like get into making games, not make them dirty. So, so I started looking around because I was in school. I knew no programming, could not draw anything, could not do anything. So I was like, I need to look for people who can help me doing those things. I can think of things I want in the game. So I started working with open source games. This started around 2001, and worked on lots of open source games. Did lots of role in those teams, did stuff, and then met people I was like comfortable with working with, and we figured that probably we could now get into work as a team, like start a team and work on games. and then we started Hashtash. So meanwhile, after my schooling, I did business administration, I did BBA, then I did MBA in international business. Had no clue what I'm doing there because I thought international business would help me understand cross-cultural things and like open source projects. It was most like I was working with people from different countries, and communicating with them was always a little difficult for me because there were different perspectives to things. So I thought probably an MBA in IB would help me do that. It did not. So Hashtash is having fun now.
Yeah, so I started out in class 11th, and there was this, we had C++ classes in class 11. So in there I made a game, that was a clone of Dope Wars, a trading game. So it was a like made in Turbo C++ graphics mode, pretty primitive, but had a funny JRPG combat mechanic and stuff. Then I moved on to college and basically wasted 1 year. Then in the second year, I started to work on my atypical RPG, which was like, it was basically, let's say, a portrait of what I viewed college as, which is a massive waste of time, right? So I tried to make the game like, really weird stuff that like wasn't really market tested, wasn't really like, okay, does this have the widest mass appeal? I just went with what I thought would be cool. So then I finished that and I graduated somehow. And then I launched my second game, Will Fight for Food. It was a combination of Double Dragon and whatever good atypical RPG had. And then currently I'm working on my third title, and who knows what's going to happen.
So I think I've been working in the games business for 9 years. Needless to say, since I was a kid, I always wanted to make games and all that stuff. After engineering, I took up a job. I thought I was going to be a programmer. That did not end well. And after engineering, I took up a job as a gameplay expert at this publisher who was publishing Ragnarok in India. And there was a very short stint for about 6 months. After that, I joined as a game designer at Dhruva Interactive, where I was there for almost a year and a half. And since then I came to Bombay and I set up the development studio for Nazara, which is now, I think it's somehow linked to Playcast or something now. But but most of these places, the games we were working on were like shit. So it was very frustrating, and I just didn't have any satisfaction as a game designer. And I was like, okay, I'll set up the team for this studio. I can do it for myself because I have all these friends who are really good at what they do, and maybe we can do it on our own. And so 5 years back, I started Yellow Monkey, and we've done a lot of stuff which hasn't worked, but then I think we've learned along the way. From every title, we've picked up a lot of stuff that we've learned, and we're growing, not in size but in knowledge.
I come from completely different background. I'm not a gamer, not much of. At the same time, I have done my master's in media in UK, so I've always wanted to be part of the media or entertainment industry. So that was the sole reason actually. I worked in UK for 3 years for a motion capture studio / the company. So all my expertise, all the contacts, actually everything was into where we were actually it was into manufacturing the motion capture system. So we were working with the different game studios, actually the TV, including BSkyB, BBC, we worked with them actually for certain small shows while I was in UK. So my experience, I had the second-hand experience where seeing the teams or seeing the people actually, they were the game developers at the same time for the TV shows. So in 2007, everything was looking in India like animation, especially animation industry, it's growing big. And there were around 50 to 70 movies. I think Anand is smiling actually here. So those were the golden days, for animation. So that was my reason to come back to India, was actually to set up a mocap studio and service actually the game studios at the same time TV or film. So that was the reason actually I came back to Mumbai. I was there actually as a one-man team, working almost for 18 months to 24 months. We tried different options, worked with the different people. But a lot of times, where most the satisfaction and at the same time the best work we have done was actually with the game developers. The reason because they are very technical people, and motion capture is very technical in that aspect. So they are the best guys who understand and who maximize and then who take it. So that experience actually has translated into actually, I had met a common friend actually who is from US, who worked with Microsoft, who worked with EA, who worked on actually the AAA from strategy titles worked on. So he himself released actually an indie strategy RTS game called Trash. So we decided actually in 2009, we decided to come together. So I have enough contacts or understanding actually the work with the second hand, or even actually work with the trying actually looking at the first hand experience of actually how the production is in the bit understanding of it. And then he brings his technical programming and the design experience actually to it. So we came together and we wanted to work on actually his initial release. He released his indie game in 2005, Trash. So our objective was actually, we'll make a very simple game, very like a 6 to 6 months. We will just upgrade the graphics, do the new artwork, and then reskin it, and then we release that indie title actually to the market. 3 months went by, and then another thing is, another second decision, important decision we made. We didn't want to have an art team in-house. We wanted to be, from the day actually, wanted to be technically strong, so we built our own engine, gameplay and the logic and the framework, but we outsourced the entire artwork to, not India, to Serbia. So there was a common friend actually whom we worked with. So we decided we give up everything, concept, 3D, everything to them. So we had only one artist in-house we kept, so just to export the assets into the engine, just to take care of it. But everything else was programming. So it took us 3 months to find the first programmer when we started in 2009. And I think during that process, we interviewed maybe 1,500 to 2,000 people in those 3 months. Every day we had a HR guy just doing that, interviewing the people. So we found first, I think, the 4 programmers who joined us in the month of March to between May. So that's when we started actually the actual development for the Apex. But 3 to 4 months later, we didn't have a strong pre-production. Okay, that's some of the things which you were telling actually is that's probably experience for you guys to look into that too. The pre-production, we had an idea what we want to do, but we didn't spend enough time actually in the pre-production or anything, so we just going to do the reskin of it. But as we are 4 or 5 months into the development of the game, we started coming up with a lot of different ideas. We were playing at the time, Seavoyager is extremely popular, Company of Heroes, some of you might have played or heard. So we were extremely inspired, and then we're getting a lot of crazy ideas. Oh, this idea is cool, and then we can implement for our game. This idea is cool, we implement for the game. So we were designing it's like on the flow. We're adding the features on the flow. And 6 months gone by, 9 months gone by, we ran out of the money. Initial budget was $75,000 for this project to finish. So we ran out of the money. And then we don't have the game that's playable, but that is completely, it's not like a releasable state. It's very much like in an alpha. Frame rates are like in a 10, 20, that's what it's getting. And the whole design is there. It has the character. It has the features, everything put into it, but it's not really, you cannot release it. So we thought we will shop it to the publishers. And then we took the game, we went to the first conference was actually the Gamescom in Germany. And then we took the game out and then started showing it to the publishers. They said, wow, this is great. We like it, but when do you think you're going to be ready? So we said 3 months time. Then they looked at us. You're not going to do it in 3 months. You're not going to make it actually shippable quality in 3 months time. They looked at us. So come back to us a little later when you have a much better version. It's much better frame rate. And so then we said, okay, we'll go back into it. And then they came by, December went by, and then by March, that's when we had a much more stable build. But by the time the things had changed already, things are looking, that was 2010 March, which I'm talking about. So by the time it's already the PC, the economic crisis, a lot of different stuff in the Europe. So then we moved on to getting the publisher. So luckily we got the Steam, approved actually the game, and then we released the first game actually on Apex actually on Steam itself in January 2011. So it's been a lot of learning. We're not being gamers much into, but that's been our journey actually just to get the first title out to the door. I would like to know actually between all of you, what was your experience like releasing the first game, getting it actually into the market when you see that actually the people are giving you the feedback, hearing the feedback? How do you feel? Actually, what was yours? Everyone's.
Yeah, so my first game I guess which was really intended for the market was Atypical RPG. So what had happened was I had released a playable demo and the game was due to come out soon, and I was just hanging out in IRC chat, trolling and stuff like that. But then somebody messaged me and said, "Hey, Rock Paper Shotgun has written about your game." So I was like, "Wait a minute." So, and then I visited and actually they had written about it, not so, and like that was pretty like an amazing moment for me. It went downhill from there, let's just say. But like but at that moment I knew that okay, we have something. People actually want to play the games I make, and like that was, I guess, the defining moment. I guess which the stuff you tend to remember is either the most impressive or the most depressing. So that was the most impressive moment, I guess. Um,
Response to our first game, Finger Footy, was actually fairly lukewarm. We got good feedback for the idea and the concept, but the game was not polished, and it was something we already knew. It was the graphics were really bad, and there were some issues with some of the other things. A lot of the football mechanics were not there. We wanted to do casual with the art style, but our artist wanted to make it realistic, and but the mechanics were casual, so there was a disconnect there, and it was stuff we already knew, so it was not maybe not that bad. But we've not been able to actually go back and fix those issues, but hopefully someday we'll do something about it soon.
You want to go back, reboot that, and then fix some issues.
Yeah, maybe do a sequel, or I don't know, something.
It's a smart idea actually. Given the platform, anyway, it's maturing actually. So it's better to add a new content, give a little bit twist to it, and then the redo and fix the issues which we already know. I think that's probably made for better quality. Sure.
So our first game was called Zap the Night. It's the story of a chameleon. We started building this game because some company asked us if we could do Xcode stuff, and someone in our team had to learn Objective-C. So we started building this game, and it started with this tap mechanic that there's random things on the screen and you're tapping them. And we had fun playing that tutorial exercise in a way, and we're like, let's add something to it, let's make it a game. And that's how we started with Zap. We spent around 7 months, and in those 7 months, we worked actively on Zap for 3 weeks. In those 3 weeks, we made an extremely bad game, but it was a good tech demo. And then we stopped. We were looking at, we made a design decision that we'll make this game cross-platform. So we'll have a single code base that will run across iOS, Android, and with some changes on Windows Phone. We had an Android version, tech demo version ready, and we had to like implement things now like scores and achievements. And so we decided that since you're doing cross-platform stuff, you're writing the game in C++, we can't use other libraries like Score Loop or OpenFont. So we started writing our own tech for the scoring system that will write a small analytics software. We spent huge amounts of time doing that. We spent another 4 months or something on that. Reached a point where all of us like extremely tired and frustrated with the game, and we were like, we either scrap it or we release it. And we said, let's release it. We'll probably learn something from it. Sorry, someone said something. Oh, okay, that's good. So, so then we decided that probably scrapping it is not a good idea because we've spent like 11 months on it. And even though it's like a tech demo, we'll probably look at the marketplace, we'll get the publisher experience and stuff. And we did that. And day one, I got like extremely bad reviews from friends. But these are like good friends, though, so they rated it decently on the store. From that, it picked up.
Are they still your friends?
Yes. Yeah. They're like our best buddies now. So we did not expect people to download Zap and play Zap. But our biggest learning from it has been that it's not as bad as we think it is. We look at the game and we see tons of issues with the game, and then we look at all the analytics coming in and the play data that we get from the game, and we find that people are playing it and people are liking it. and not many people are playing it because we did not like go all guns blazing and talk about the game. We did a small Facebook event, spammed all my friends and like asked them to download the game and give a feedback. So we realized that since it's not a very good game, people are not returning to the game, but people are trying it out, people are playing, and all that data that's been generated has been giving us some good insights into what we should do next with the game. So that was more or less the thing.
Cool. The one important question which I would like to maybe share your thoughts as well with everyone, and maybe somebody might hear in the audience that actually wants to make a game. They have an idea, they have a game they're working on. They might want to know actually about launching the game. We all been through certain process. We make PC and Mac games, so we go through Steam and do certain stuff. But the iOS, Android, actually, you went through a journey. And is there something that actually you can tell these guys, actually, hey, you have a game that's been done, but how do we approach it? How do you want actually solutions for that?
I think the previous session that Matt had was everything that you need to know
Everything that you
actually.
need to know.
I don't know whoever was here for it, but it was actually very good. I think
Somebody's
yeah.
not there, you can give them.
Yeah, I think a couple of points which we found out is that be active on forums as early as you can. Let people know about your game as early as you can. If it's an iOS game, Touch Arcade forums is a very good place to showcase and start getting some buzz about the game. Other than that, the only thing that can really help you is a feature by Apple. So just polish the hell out of the game. Do not release it if it's not ready. Let it take however long it takes, but polish it, release it, showcase it on Touch Arcade, and hope you get noticed by the right people. I know it's not a very smart way of doing it, but it's the reality. Apple has to feature you for you to make any kind of real money. Other than that, you can try a lot of other stuff like cross-promoting with other developers or I don't know, Chartboost and other ad networks, but it's all going to be paid. So I think that's pretty much it.
For PC gaming, it's like a little bit different because like there's no, big brother Apple and stuff. So what I found most effective was that you pick the top 10 review sites that you like, or maybe a site you want to read or whatever, and you just send them a simply worded press release with a nice screenshots, a link to your YouTube video, and then you wait for the reply. Then in my experience, if I email about 15 people, 3 of them generally reply back and say, hey, nice game, I want to write about it. Can you answer these questions and all? And generally, then another 3 or 4 of them write it when I send a reminder email 15 days later. And after that, there isn't really much you can do. You can get featured in indie bundles. Like my second game was featured in 2 indie bundles, and I made a bundle out of it. So I guess, yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do.
Sure.
Challenge already almost covered everything for mobile.
All the digital marketing, the digital platforms, there are app stores. There is actually Google Play Store. There are tons of stores actually in Steam. How is it? Actually, as an indies, is it something how is it going?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, the app store. There are a lot of the digital platforms, right? So where we are able to sell the games, because that's been actually the big boon for the indies.
It's definitely helped us with like more possibilities to be selling our games. The sort of the control that the big publishers could have on the industry is a little decentralized now. Going forward, things would get more better. So the thing is that if you make a game now, there's a higher possibility for you to be able to sell it. Okay. Because of these platforms. That's
so can you think? You don't need any traditional publisher way or anything. That actually you could launch the game. You could launch the digital. You can get your title out.
See, I don't I cannot speak much about the PC domain. In mobiles, you have no other option.
Not much option.
So about the app store model, I'm kind of like, I don't really like it, but it's a necessary evil, I guess. I mean, it's better than you going to several publisher houses and asking them to, burn a disc of your game and distribute it to people. But yeah, as long as like right now, I think we are in a, in this phase, we are like the market is still rising. We haven't reached a cap yet. So right now, everybody is like, nobody's trying to do some anti-consumer things or whatever. They're just doing what makes sense. But I feel that, things might change, I guess. Matlab, I don't have any experience on the iDevice market because I'm not interested in it. So, but like for the PC, I think like where we are at right now, we have a 2, 3 major retailers, digital retailers. And like as long as there is healthy competition, we don't have to worry really. But in cases of like closed platforms, like let's say if Steam becomes the de facto platform for PC games, or if let's say the Mac App Store becomes it for OS X, then I think we might have a problem where if you don't meet certain arbitrary guidelines set by Valve or Apple, then you might run into the same old problem which we had in the publisher phase. So that's what I think.
Isn't Steam like already the de facto?
No, but like
If you really want to make some money, you have to be on Steam. Right?
yeah, but like both my games were not accepted on Steam, and like I'm living in a like a small shack I built on a footpath, so I made some money. I mean, like Steam is a major player, but it's not a de facto monopoly right now. That's the
I
thing.
think ideally the question what I meant to ask actually is if somebody has an idea, somebody's into the two that actually they could rely on digital. I mean that's been the I think right now the market looks like actually everywhere. If you look at even there is a shift in the industry that's happening, and this app stores and then the Steam or so I think it's a fantastic time to be. I mean actually come up has an idea, put together a small team and then do as long as follow. I mean your idea is good enough and it's made well enough. I think you have a very good chance that actually get noticed, get talked about, and I think they're able to release the game and then make it. It's much more possible now compared to actually what it was there for 2 years ago or some other thing before actually. So one of the questions that you guys discussed actually I have it is what do Indian indies lack compared to counterparts or peers in other countries? This question gave it to me, but yeah, I would like to know actually what the thoughts actually.
I guess experience really, and yeah, the main thing is that we don't have the expertise right now, and like usually to make a game you generally need like 2, 3 people at a minimum if you want to make a game. Like let's say that that has to reach a certain level of popularity. I'm not saying it can be done solo, but the problem is that if you really want to have a full Indian team, so there's a certain lack of expertise in the market right now. I'm not saying I'm the sole expert, right? So I also suck, right? So, but the thing is that I think like we have basically, let's say there's been like 5, maybe 10 years of really in which people are trying to make games on their own and stuff. So I guess we'll learn eventually, like someday maybe, they'll make a game called Angry Monkeys and it'll explode and then we'll have some, and then nobody will talk about, what we are lacking and what's happening. So I guess it's just going to happen one day. And like a lot of are we really just comparing ourselves to, I guess, the US developers? Because a lot of other nations can ask the same question, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not specific to asking US. I think the indie games are coming from everywhere, from unexpected corners, and especially from a very good game schools actually, everywhere. And they're doing some fantastic, the games, there's something quality. And I think they've been taught well. So I think, as you rightly said, the experience. And also we don't have that better education too. That's something that actually is where the students are actually, where the game developers are doing.
Yeah, no, I think the place we are at right now is that most studios are usually right now they're at their debut title or maybe their second title. So at that point, you cannot really expect to make world beater games. Like you learn by doing stuff. Yeah. There's only so much you can learn by, reading postmortems on game dev sites and stuff. So I guess we'll get there eventually.
Okay. I want to ask one interesting question, Shailesh. You said actually you worked on quite a few different games and then you never released them or you never put them out. What was that actually? Okay, you went through a certain process, a design process. Actually, you start with an idea, you start prototyping. Once you have a certain playable state, and what makes you decide actually this idea is I'm not going to work on it, and this may not be really take it forward or do it. So what is it actually your thought process goes actually everywhere?
Different things actually. Sometimes it's constraints. Like we recently scrapped a game because we don't have artists who can actually deliver the content to the kind of quality that we have. As in one thing we've decided that we won't compromise on quality,
Yep.
Irrespective of whether we have the money or we don't have the money to make the game. So we scrapped the title because we just can't make it at this point. Maybe we'll come back to it some other day.
Yeah.
But on other times, if it's just not fun enough, if we don't feel that there's a real mechanic there, we scrap those too. So
Sure.
Depends.
Scoping. So that's another thing actually is really important actually. I think we learned, I think both the games when we launched on Steam, I think we made a biggest, I wouldn't call mistake in the sense, but I think we were still learning. As we're learning actually is we could have done better actually with the scoping, we could have done better with the pre-production that could have made us actually something to do. And sometimes even the challenge itself is like trying to make a game something the certain scope, certain with the number of features, trying to do it in a certain short amount of time. If you try to do it, even though you know it actually it's not possible, and still going ahead and doing it, and then you end up actually not, you know it's bound to actually not to have all the features, not to have all the content going into that game, and that didn't let us actually. So that's probably that our experience to take away from both the projects. So we will leave open to the public to ask or anything. We will leave the floor open to the public so you guys can ask actually.
So I'm actually asking a question to the PC developers out here. What do you guys feel about the entrance of Windows 8 and the fact that like in a lot of Windows 8 devices, you're going to have to go through the Windows Store compared to you doing your own distribution, especially Arvind and even Steam, we don't know what's going to happen on that. So what are your views on that?
I mean, like I'm in no position to comment on, Microsoft's marketing decisions, but I'm going to do it anyway. So like basically what they're trying to do is they're hedging their bets and they're saying that, okay, desktop users will tolerate a, UI that is based on the, the tablet market. So as long as we have the option to run separate apps, the desktop apps like, the usual Steam and all that, as soon as they lock it, I guess, then Windows just becomes a less stylish version of Apple, I guess. So I don't think they're really going to go that route. Like I'm not sure. Like right now, I'm just standing on the sidelines, and in the end, I make games. So if people accept the Windows Store and they only buy games for Windows stores, then eventually I will. Yeah, that kind of sums up my feelings on Windows 8.
Awesome. I think it's probably we're going to do a wait and watch how actually the Windows 8 is going to be received and how it's going to shape up. I think there will be, I think PC it's still going to be there, whether it's Windows or how we distribute the game, how somebody buys the game or plays the game. I think that's going to change. I mean, probably we'll know in next 12 to 24 months. So I think probably it's like let's wait and watch until the time. We still have Steam. We still put it on Steam, so we can put it on there. And they have 50 million users, and then every day that actually log in at a peak hours. So I think we're going to sell it for now. But let's see actually how the things change.
So as indies, you guys don't have money, right? So when you're trying to get someone to work with you, how are you guys going about it?
If we are hiring or recruiting somebody.
No, not
or
hiring,
getting
recruiting.
somebody-
I mean, you might not need somebody, somebody collaborated, because if you're trying to hire somebody, you'll have to fight with all the other IT companies or game companies out there. But as indies, you probably need somebody for that project. right?
Oh,
Going for a
yes.
specialized.
For like a music, imagine like a
Music,
music, or
art.
actually voiceover or
Yeah.
art, actually something like
So
that.
how do you identify or how do you work with them? What do you pay them upfront? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so like fun fact about Pyrodactyl, I've never actually met anyone like in real life, and I've worked with 8 people so far over 2 games. So what I did was I started out in the Half-Life 2 modding scene, and I worked on a bunch of mods, like about 5 or 6. So I had a lot of contacts when I finally decided to, step into making solo games. So like what I would suggest is that if you're starting out and you want a team, first join a free project and like show to people that, okay, I have the talent, I have the ability to pull this off. So when I started, I knew an artist because I had worked on a mod with him before. And he knew that, okay, this guy can write Hello World. So, like if you have the experience, you won't have any problem. But at the end, even if you don't even if you don't want to work in, like the modding scene or freeware games, but I would suggest that there's only 2 ways really. Either you offer them a bunch of money, or you convince them in your vision. And in the second, like I have to go the second route because I don't have any money. So in the second route, you will have to prove your ability to them. There really is no other way. I would very much love to say that, I was just walking down the road one day and an artist just fell on my head, and then we went on a journey together and made a lot of fun games, but that just doesn't happen.
So my experience has been that you need to be very open to be meeting people. What we have like tried doing in the past for different things is that we like I reach out to people at different places, different events, and uh, it's basically for us it's very important that we can communicate at the same level. So if I'm looking at working with someone, maybe outsource some work to them, maybe like contract them for something, or probably collaborate with them on something, or probably hire them. So for all these 3 things, what I personally really go forward with is whether we can communicate at the same level. Can we do we share that bandwidth in a way where there's a consensus or uniformity in what we're trying to do, and it's more about it's more about, it's not about the skill set, it's not about how good you are with what you're trying to do, it's more about how do you want to change things, or what is it that you want to achieve. So that is something I personally go for when I'm trying to collaborate with people.
I think, from our experience, I think a lot of times when we look for music or imagine voiceover, certain service, certain help required. So we ask friends, we ask actually the colleagues whom we work with, or actually within the team, so somebody who can suggest. So that would be the safest way. And then we look at actually what they have done. And then if something fits into what we are looking for, so we contact those guys and then do that. I think that's actually most of the times that's worked. It's by the recommendations in the friends actually.
So most of the time when you have a set up an indie studio, you usually working with friends. How do you deal with the fact that sometimes when you're working with friends, that level of professionalism is not there, or you take it casually sometimes? Production can tend to stop. Because you're with friends, you usually don't. How do you kick each other to actually work?
I mean, if your
It can be a
friends,
problem sometimes because we tend to
So
work with friends.
you know
We've
your
done-
friends, you know how they work, you know their strengths and weaknesses, so you can probably plan for that. If you know that this guy is like very skilled but probably not very energetic, or he can lose focus, or he can be like lazy, then you build a very professional structure around the work, because friendship and work are different things. So if you decide to work with your friend, you know how your friend is and how he'll work, and you build a system that a process that will like ensure that things go smooth.
Are we done? 2 more minutes.
Oh, can I ask? I wanted to ask that you just started as an indie game developers. Do you think you will see yourself in the future in the console games, making console games?
I'd like to say that when we started, I don't think any of us ever thought that let's quit our jobs or let's stop doing what we're doing and become indie game developers. I think we all just decided that let's make some games. So, no, we never decided to be indie game developers.
Yes, it's an opportunity there. If the opportunity, if the idea, if the game, actually that works for console, so we're not going to limit to just only do that or do this. There are indie developers on consoles too, let's be honest. So it all comes down to there is opportunities there.
If you can get the dev kit, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, like I was never really a console player, so like it made sense for me to move into PC. But as soon as the dev kit does not involve me putting my house on mortgage, I will be there.
Thank you. I'm just came late. I don't know this question is covered or not. Basically, when you're working, one model is when you're working with the friends. Another is when you hire other people for either for a collaborative work on a just for a small task or take in a team. How you manage in terms of financial wise, how much share that person should take in terms of equity or in terms of payment. Can you give few your experience in that perspective if you have come across that?
Is your question about how do you decide how to share royalties or what to pay for, like when you're getting a collaborator?
Yeah, exactly. Not only collaborator, even the freelancer, if somebody is coming.
So
because
basically,
you don't have
it's your expectations versus their efforts, and it would be, let's say, an arrangement that would work for both of you. Like it's a very subjective thing. There's no trend to it. Like there's no formula for doing that.
I agree that there is no formula, there is no fix it. In terms of models, right, like some people say, okay, fine. Well, when I asked the co-founders, they said there is one model that you can put up a park one equity as a equal equity which can be shared with other people. Some of the part as a co-founder will take. This is one interesting model. Okay.
Also,
so same way, can you put
I'll
up
suggest
few
you.
ideas?
One thing I think you shouldn't want to do that. You shouldn't want to put an equity and then a project and then where you get somebody and then get some equity. It's gonna be mess. So I think you don't want to mix up those things. You work as long as Arvind has said actually is like if you can convince somebody, you need some external consultants help. Convince them into your vision. Tell them actually, hey, this is the work I'm looking at. Make them excited. I'm good and I need your skill. Both of us can make a great game or great something film or whatever that is, we can make it. And then whatever comes out of this one, let's share. My effort is 60, your effort is 40, my effort is 50, your effort is 50. Let's take that way. But don't put, when you complicate the equity and all that stuff, it's going to be messy. So later in the time. So I think it's better that actually is whatever is, take it by individual cases, but that's a suggestion I can give you.
Great. Okay, this question is directed mainly at Shailesh and Vinny. Huh? I mean, because I know a little bit of the history of Kinshuk and Arvind, but okay, when you guys started out, right, how did you people put together your team and get the space and all? Because, I've heard multiple presentations earlier that we were able to start working professionally only when we had some office space and we were all together under one roof and all.
Okay.
And at some level, there were people who mentioned that, okay, you have to be professional, that you fix a salary or something. And so like this guy who made Flick Tennis was saying that once we had a investment, we could get people, we could work professionally, we got an office space because other arrangements didn't work. So what has yours, that is Vinny and Shailesh's experience been on that? And I would love to know about getting space, hiring people, raising the initial thing.
So my office is part of my home, so I don't pay rent. It's part of my house that's converted into the office. The team, I guess it was mostly a friend of mine who was a very good programmer. I've known him for years now, and he's helped me out with all the prototypes and demos we made before starting Yellow Monkey. So he was an obvious choice for us. And I think Krishna came in later, much later. He saw what we had done with Finger Footy. He liked the kind of work we were doing with Motley before that, which never released. So he said that, you know, I want in on this. This is the kind of stuff I want to be making. And he approached us. I didn't know him before that. So yeah, that's it.
And Vinny?
Ours is like a, I mean, we started actually from a 2-bedroom apartment actually. It's a small team. We had around 10 people at the time we expanded pretty fast. The first 6 months we stayed in a 2-bedroom place where we rented actually. And then we had the HR person actually, somebody who does the interviews every day. And then, I mean, especially for programmers we're recruiting into. And then once we grown into 10 people team, then we moved into a little bigger space that we wanted. And then from there to another third space, we moved in 2 years time. So we expanded pretty fast. But it is, I think to some extent actually is we needed actually as a team was growing and then our project was required such a team size actually required. So we had to kind of like expand pretty quickly too.
So, I mean, just as soon as you started, you got 10 people and you started getting projects and also that means you already had a very big background and contacts and all in the game industry.
I think from our side, we didn't do any, we were doing on our own IP. We were not doing any contract work or anything. So we know what we want to do and then we know exactly what resources required. So we went ahead with actually finding those people.
And you had the game industry background yourself?
Yep, before that.
Like what was that?
I worked actually as for a producer, but at the same time,
Okay, great. Thanks for the awesome answers.
Sure.
Sorry? How do you motivate yourself to stay indie? I'm part of the whole job thing, but I really don't like it. But that confidence is not there to get out and do it on my own because I don't know whether 6 months down the line I can motivate myself.
So is your question that how do you motivate yourself to begin? Or
No,
like
how do you
now that you have begun and like,
now that I've begun,
yes.
how do you keep motivating yourself?
It's very simple. You run into so many bills and loans and you have to find a way to pay them. So it's that simple. If you like don't motivate yourself, your like creditors will motivate you. That's simple.
It's really hard. I think as he rightly put it actually, but what motivates us actually to come back to a time. I mean, I think as the time initially was actually as we see it's like a baby as the game, as each feature coming together as we are playing, as we are seeing it, and internally when we do play test with the team itself. So all the feedback, everything that's going in, so that makes us actually, wow, we have a good game. We have something there's something that actually we can share. So that's as a vision as it's coming together. That makes us actually the product is coming in. And when we get the news from Steam saying that, hey, we like the game, we would like to put it on the store, that takes us actually to the next level. Okay, we achieved something. When we release the game and then we get the first 10,000 people buy the game in the first 1 week, and when we reach in the top 6 on Steam, that makes us actually, okay, we achieved, we made it. So that's, but you got to have these little things constantly. But at times it could be tough. But this is what motivates us actually go into it and then come back again and day and day try it.
Thanks, sir.
Like, in the end, you have to like when you start out with your game, you have to want to see the game happen. You don't like if I like work on something for 6 months, then I drop it. Then it really means that I wasn't motivated enough in the first place, right? So that is just something you like learn on the go, really.
I have one more question. Since you guys are small teams, I mean, indie is very much like that, right? Is things planned, or do you guys like go on the go, means modify stuff and ship direction and all that type of stuff can happen, right? Since there's no governing body or something like that, right?
Like, no, I mean, we don't have like a really formal design document, but we do have a certain vision and we do really write a document and then we implement stuff, but it's not set in stone. And plus, since like we are really only like 2 other people working full time, so what happens is that like we have a lot of back and forth on this. Okay, this is working, this is not. I mean, it's not really any formal. We are 3 people, so like we talk to each other. Then
no, I mean the direction is can be easily shifted in the middle of the project. Yes. Since you are a very small team.
Indies, I think as an Indian, that's what we do. You always shift. You always, it's going to be a lot of things going to be on the floor, right? The things actually that you're doing.
I think that would depend a lot on the project. You would not
Depend a lot on the project.
want to be very flexible with everything.
Yes.
But that vision will drive you through and keep you focused on that one
Yeah,
plan.
I mean, there really isn't any, best practice in this regard. So it really depends on the team. Like if you are chasing the pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, then you have to keep track of current trends and stuff. But like if you just want to you have a certain vision, okay, I want to make this game. I don't care about the market share, the monetization, the DLC, etc., etc. Then you don't really have to worry about it. You just focus on the game.
Yeah, let's take offline. Offline, if you have anything,
Oh, okay.
you can
Thanks
ask
a lot.
actually when
Thanks a
someone
lot.
gets. You have one question? Okay, we'll try it.
I'm sorry, we have no more time for questions.